welcome back to another episode of NFT Artist Spotlight, hosted by AstroZero. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
We have a very special guest. She's an avant pop artist and producer, Fifi Rong. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm actually feeling really good. It's midnight over here, but yeah, feeling very sharp still.
All right, that's
Thank
great.
you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you got into as far as music goes at a young age, and what got you into NFTs?
I've been independent, doing music, producing music, and it's kind of like a reborn religion for me. Because in my earlier space, I was talking about like a long story coming to where I am. But in a short way, I would say. I was born in China, and I grew up to a point when I was like a teenage, 13, 14, and I knew in my soul that I wanted to devote my life into music. But I was like a kind of like a ruthlessly like a shut down, as in from the self-esteem to the faith to knowing that I'm not good enough for this. Like I just don't have it, don't have the raw ingredients for music. So I stopped for a very like I didn't pursue it. I actually went to a different, like the opposite route in life. But I was really unhappy until a little bit later. I would say after my master, graduating from my master degree, and I really wanted to find out my life's calling because I was really unhappy. And so the situation was really bad at the time. So I had to make a choice. So I kind of like cut all my bridges and burned all my retreats. And then jump into music. But there was a lot of like kind of like coincidence and like universal science that dragged me into doing music. And once I did it, I realized that was my, that's what I come here for. That's why I was born into this life, to do this thing. So it's like you discover, oh my God, like, this feels so good, and this is my calling, and this is my purpose in life. So I started to do that, and I never really looked back. And whatever music took me to, I just kind of like make it work. If it's hard or not hard. And starting from London, people say this is difficult. Yeah, it was difficult, but this is the only thing I know. So I had always kind of like make the music I wanted to make, and I had like a big detour where I kind of like lost my passion because I went into bad management where it wasn't really, my soul was kind of like dying, and I got out of that, and so that made me become very strong in knowing who I am, and that gave me to make me think that the confidence in what I do is the most important thing. To believe in and trust my gut instinct, and not to go for what the worldly, like say the world Web 2 tells you what success means. They define what success is and then give you the framework to go into that. If you don't have how many followers, if you don't have like this and that, then you're not successful. No, you don't. Like I get to define what success is for me, right? So I think that right now, like going through, like just fast forward to these days, I think the whole Web 2 and Web 3 shift is a mentality shift, is a value system shift as well. And for me, it was kind of easy because I was kind of like living a Web 3 kind of a mentality when I was in Web 2, but that wasn't very comfortable because I was still challenged. I was living a really good life, as in, I can survive on music independently, full-time for many years, and thanks to my fans, supporters, that's like giving me this opportunity to make the music and live my freedom and do the music I want to make. But I still felt like I was unsuccessful by the measure of the old world. So coming over to NFT, to answer your question, this shift, like for me, is really easy because I was already here. If you see what I mean, like in actuality, how I communicate with people and what I want in life and what I want in music. And yeah, I think that's it.
That's pretty awesome. Very good explanation. There are a few people that have questions. We're going to just do a Q&A for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to open it up to the crowd. So if you guys could just bear with us. So you're releasing a double album coming up called There's a Funeral in My Heart for Every Man I Loved. Can you go a little bit in depth about what the inspiration behind this album was and the amount of time that it took you to actually have it to the actual perfect final product that you're deciding to release?
Yeah, it took a very long time. I always I always underestimate everything that takes. I'm like overly optimistic on my timelines, so I always like wanted to do something that's really ambitious, and then thinking, I can nail that in 3 months, and then 3 years later, I'm still not done. That's like a kind of keep happening, but it's really normal. Like in creativity, it's really normal. So how it came about, it kind of like goes back to what I just said. Because over the very many years, when I first started to do music, even in the first year, I was very bold and I made production. But you're talking about somebody like a female producer who has just learned production for 3 months, and I was releasing music already. And then that's really a bold move. And I had like a lot of male producers around me telling me that my work sound like a demos. And so that really knocked my confidence. But it's already out. I didn't care anymore. So during that time, I was getting some hype from around, and all these managers attracted to hear the noise and come to me, and they would say, you have a very special voice, you're great with like a songwriting, why don't you write a hit song? I'll put you together with another producer. This is really common, right? For a female singer-songwriter, this is really, it's like, for you to actually get good with your production, it will take years. It might take you 10 years to get to where you want to sound like. But if I put you together with another male producer who's already established or who's already experienced, then you can get there much faster. And if you write pop hit song kind of thing, you might get there faster. That's a very kind of like an music industry, old music industry thinking. Right now, in the last few years, it's not like that. It's like if you can be the best person you are, and then you have a way to show that, then you can be as quirky as you want. Actually be quirky, because you're always going to get a cult following. And then you can, especially in Web3, you can really, really capitalize on that, right? And make a great living. So back to how that, about that situation as a like a foundation. A lot of managers wanted me to write pop songs. So I got really depressed, and I was really, just lost in a way, going down to a direction that's not quite working for me, and I wasn't quite happy. So when I got out of the management and I recovered from the depression and the anxiety and the PTSD, I started to use this album, or something that I always wanted to do, because I'm quite good with writing down-tempo music, very melancholic music, which is all the best songs I have in this album. It's a 24-song album. It's half in Chinese and half in English. I wouldn't say they are all the music the best songs. I chose these songs out of about 100, around 100 demos. So I was really ruthless when I selected the songs into this project. So I used this project to boost my own confidence, because I needed this. I needed to know and to feel. So I just go the other extreme in terms of me feeling something that I make, me as a listener, that I don't make music because I think what the listener would feel. Do they like it? I make something because the market wants it. With this album, it's more like me being the listener. Do I move me? Do I move my soul? So I get to like detach myself from the work. And then do I want to, feel the ache in my chest when I listen to this song? So that was the criteria I wanted for this double album. So after I finished this album, I mean, the songs take a really long time, and to produce it takes even longer, and then to recording, because the first round of production doesn't take as long. It's like to write a song, it can take a day. To produce the basic production might take 2-3 days. But to finish a production, it might take a month on a song, sometimes even more. I would say weeks of that, because vocal production can be very pristine. It can be really, really detailed, especially if you want to fuck with the big record labels, that kind of level, right? I can never get my bedroom production, which is the ones that you're listening to. It's professional, it's very professional, but it's not as good as like the big recording studio quality. So I have to do a lot of post work in tweaking, in like producing the vocal. Sometimes like a song's vocal production can take just little things here and there. It can take like 30, 40, 50 hours. Even sometimes even more, especially at the first few songs. And the music production side, if I don't mix, I think I mixed 2 of the songs, and those things takes the longest time. It's a very, very crafty on the mixing. So post-production and mixing takes the most time. I do have a mixer and a master engineer, because I pass it to him. But that process, it took a year and a half, I think almost 2 years, because I'm very, very picky. When I say I'm not like attention detailed, he's like, you can hear the most micro, movement, like the littlest thing there. Even my mixer can't hear something, I can hear it. So yeah, I'm very, very anal when it comes to mixing. So that took a very long time again. And and when everything was done in the English album until the end of last year, and suddenly I came up with the idea to do the Chinese album as well. So then I did the Chinese album from the end of last year to about June this year. And so I kind of like wrap everything up and off to the mixer, and going back and forth. I mixed several songs on this album. And then I was like getting ready on my marketing side, because I've been in studio for so long. I was like really behind with my business. So I'm trying to get my Web2 business structure established or re-established, organize them, to have the fan base, the private group, the mailing list, the CRM, right? The ads and the my VIP club with the different layers, different different as in different levels of tiers in my VIP subscriptions, and everything tidy up. And then that's when I entered NFT. I was going to enter NFT next year. I mean, I first came to NFT in March, because I was in crypto since last year. So I always wanted to come into NFT, but it wasn't time, because, I need to get my shit together before I can devote in something that's another level, that's like the potential of something. So I need to have the confidence to say, yeah, I get my life sorted. So then I can come here and combine things and bridge things and build community like that. But I came in kind of like not really intending to dive in straight away, but it kind of like a magnet, and it just sucked me in, and I can never get out. And I have no regrets, because it's really fun and it's really great, and the vibe. It's just like I was already really positive, but this just gave me so much love. And so yeah, here I am. I guess that was like a long way of saying saying thanks. But but here I am.
So what does the crowdfunding campaign consist of that you're doing, and what are the benefits that people would get to crowdfund with you?
The crowdfunding campaign, I haven't really talked about that. I guess, giving the story probably helps, the next step. So the crowdfunding itself was, I didn't want to release the album through a label because I just feel more hands-on, more emotional, and more involved and more in control. And I wanted to release my double album with my supporters and directly, so there's no middleman. And I'm kind of like trying to involve everybody in different bundles, and then they can all get involved, and to a point where they are literally become a part of this. And then by that, I mean, say I have like 5 basic bundles, like 5 main bundles, because I have a lot of perks. So I put them together into different bundles, different levels. So that's maybe suitable for certain, people's financial where they can afford. So for whoever that pledge to the campaign, they can submit their photos, and then that photo becomes a part of the mosaic, which is the album title in Chinese. It's called the 心脏. There's a funeral in my heart for every man I love. Like that Chinese title is 心脏, 2 words. And then that is a mosaic artwork. And I think, that's in my profile pic. You can see that. If you make it that really, really big, that's actually a little mosaic upload signs. So we use people's photo to construct that artwork. And once we have the artwork, that can go onto the vinyl, the double vinyl deluxe, like signed and numbered and named as well, and also CD and T-shirt and posters and everything you can think of in terms of merch. So then people, by supporting this during this time before the campaign closes in 2 weeks' time, that's only is an exclusive window to enjoy the music. Obviously, people pledge, and then they get to hear they get to have the 2 double album in in the highest quality formats. Whereas it's not released outside. I mean, there is public release for the English album next month, but it's not for both albums. So people have the privilege of listening, having these things, and also order the double CD and then double vinyl. And to make it super, super special, that I number from 1 to 100 on the CD and then double vinyl, to make people understand like this, you are the first person, or you are the 36th person that supported this campaign, and then your photo is a part of the artwork. Your name is on the on the vinyl record if you choose that tier. So all those things are designed for people to get directly involved into the whole thing. And how do I combine this with the NFT? Is that I draw the NFT community to this campaign by paying fiat to support the campaign, while I give them different rarities of NFT. So these NFT are in a secret location where once they pledge the campaign, and I will give them either 1 out of 1 or 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30. And then these NFTs aren't like available elsewhere. These are like kind of like the privilege of what you can have right now. And when it's gone, it's basically gone. Maybe one day I'll open it up to the public, but at that time, people already claimed some of that or all of them, who knows. So that's kind of like the way to draw the NFT community to this campaign, and also onboard my Web2 fans to NFT, because it's free. You can claim it. You might have to go through a little bit hurdle to read some instructions, get a MetaMask wallet, but it's free, like you can wait for the gas fee. Some are free mint, some are completely free depending on the level. But then if you don't know how to do it, I can onboard you, I can help you to go through that. But essentially, if you don't claim it, somebody else will. So this gives them the incentive to do that. And also I talk to them so much about the idea of NFT and why this is good and why this is very special to hold my NFT. And also holding my NFT as their first NFT has a great like a sentimental value as well. And obviously it will appreciate too. So I hope that explains the campaign.
Yeah, sure does. Do you have a large fan base also in China? Because your music is both English and Chinese.
Yes, I do. Yeah, but because of the Great Firewall of China, is your financial system is not linked. Your crypto is definitely not linked because it is not allowed over there. Social media is not linked. Everything is separated. Even that I can't really go to China right now because I don't have Chinese passport. I have British passport. So people like my music in a way that because it's kind of hidden, because it's kind of cultish, and then they kind of like found the music. It's like a cool thing, I guess. And then there are a lot of people, so definitely I have like a much more audiences there. But I'm just not connected to them. So to me, that is like almost like it doesn't exist. But yeah, they do. And it's just like I really count people who I interact with on a daily basis. Like I can see you, I know your last name. That to me is important. And the people who are listening to me, but they're not like actively interactive or buying anything, it's kind of like, oh, that's really nice. I appreciate the support, but you're kind of like it's a passive way of consuming music. Whereas in my life, my fan base is more like an active experience of music.
So is an end game goal of yourself to try to get off of these platforms, Spotify, and just go straight to NFT sales?
I think your connection is a little bit is not very clear from what I heard. I think you said the end game of NFT if I want to completely transition to NFT.
Can you hear me better? Is this okay?
Yay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, the question was, is the end goal for you as far as a musician to go strictly NFT and get off platforms like Spotify and stuff like that take percentages from the artist?
Not really. I see those tools are advertising tools and promotional tools, and you gain exposure. It's almost like if a popular magazine or a playlist say, radio say, can I play your music? And I'd be like, you have to pay me how much, then I give you your music, my music. It's not really like that. So I'm happy for more people to get introduced to my music. I don't have yes, they pay very little, but we can always find a way around it. As in, we have like all these possibilities, and Web3, like all these tools are extra tools and a medium for us to do things and use our creativity. As artistic creativity, you can channel that into using different creative ways in marketing yourself and getting yourself heard. And they just have a lot of more control, a lot of autonomy in doing all these things. So yeah, I have nothing against the Web2. And also I can't leave my people behind. Most of my people are in Web2, and then they are not prepared to come in here. And I'm not gonna say because there's more money over here, then I just don't do things outside. And money is not everything, right? Like, as we make music, we want people to appreciate the music, even if it's for free. But first, we need to make a living before we can make history. So we have to, with this NFT, it's really, really great, but not to forget to, serve the world with my art. Either people pay or not. The essence is to touch people's souls by the music. And the money is something that that can't happen somewhere in between. If you see what I mean? Because my mission is to bring my cultural heritage into the world's, like onto the world stage of when I say urban pop, it's like with the Chinese heritage, like a real Chinese heritage, rather than someone look Chinese like me but completely doing hip hop, completely doing R&B. That doesn't have the kind of cultural significance that I want. And for me to do that kind of impact, I need people to hear it first. So yeah, I'm very excited about NFT or the possibilities that come with it. And I want to do big things here, but it doesn't mean that, I want to ditch or whatever, outside. It does shift my mentality that I don't want to be, it's not a vanity thing. It's not a vanity like I want to be the biggest, like stadium stage. I want like millions and millions of fans to prove my existence or validate my importance, right? That's not what I'm after. I'm after to make my heritage, to combine that into a new kind of music, what I'm doing, and to introduce my culture into the world and change people's perspective towards Chinese artists, that we can be world class, we can be on the A list as well, right? So that is more like a bigger mission to bridge the two culture together on the artistic side of things, and whatever web 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't care. So that's like on a bigger scale what I'm after.
Who are some of your biggest influences as far as musicians and songwriters?
Musicians, I mean, going from China, I would say, because I spent most of at least like the first 16 years in China, so I definitely would credit a lot of Chinese artists. The first person who got me singing, I would say, was Teresa Tang. And then later on, I was very inspired by Beijing rock, like a Beijing oriented, like a rock. So they have a lot of like soft kind of rock. And there's some psychedelic rock, but mixed with Chinese, a lot of Chinese Beijing, like a local culture. And then that inspired me a lot. We have like someone called Zhang Chu, we have like Tang Chao, we have Dou Wei, all these people. And then there was quite a bit of Chinese pop. And then since there, I think when I was in China, I was really fascinated about the British Britpop and also Brit rock as well. So from then onwards, I was listening to trip hop, and I was very into, say, even like a Sinead Corner, I was when I was in China. And they have like a Radiohead, and then that time like a Massive Attack and Tricky and Martina Topley Birds. And then later on, when I came to the UK, I was really into Cocteau Twins. Pink Floyd, I think I was a kid, I was already really into. So my combination of things, definitely some of the Chinese pop, but a little bit obscure, I guess, like with a little bit like a rock and psychedelic, I would say psychedelic rock. And then later on, like these days, I like James Blake. I like D'Angelo. I like. There's a lot of things I like actually. Like really, really recent. There's something I like, Little Dragon. But do you know what I mean? Like when at this stage, it's really hard to say these people influence me. I can just say these people I really like. What influenced you? Usually that goes really back to the teenage years. And then later on, you just kind of like a reference rather than trying to be something, if you see what I mean. It's more like the journey goes within. It's like, oh, I want to see what's inside me that wants to come out.
Yeah, I'm also a musician, and I write stuff that's more along the lines of like film score and stuff that's kind of like soundtrack based. But really, my influences come back to like hardcore punk. from like what you were saying from my teenage years, like listening to a lot of bands from the 80s and 90s, like punk influence wave. It's really what I would say is my biggest influence getting me into music. But just because it got me into music doesn't necessarily mean it's the type of music that I create.
Yeah, and then that's always like the roots there, and especially how you can always hear the influence. As in, if I sing, there's always a little bit of old jazz. There's always a little bit of a Chinese folk that I didn't mention, because my family come from the the revolutionary songs from the Chinese War and wartime, and then you worship Chairman Mao, praise Chairman Mao, that kind of songs. And because I grew up in that environment where parents are singing those songs, so those melodies are really in my blood. So that would come out later on in the later on I was doing dubstep. I started off doing dubstep because that's where I started, and with a little bit trip hop influence, and then the Chinese melody will come out, like those Chinese folk melody will come out. So yeah, so I think what you are from what you were earlier in life, that's very, very key influences.
Yeah, UK trip hop and UK drum and bass like Ronnie Size and Goldie and all that stuff. Stuff I've listened to for a long time as well. What made you decide that when you were releasing your double album, "There's a Funeral in My Heart for Every Man I Loved"? What made you decide to not only release it on vinyl but release it on CD?
CD is just much easier way to transport. There are a lot of vinyl collectors, but there are also a lot of CD collectors. There are still a lot of people who think about this, right? People who appreciate music and see the value in music, and then they a lot of times they grew up in the 90s or 80s. Still they are like I'm saying, my fan base, my supporters, a lot of them have a collection of CDs and vinyls. Not everybody can put, you can't put your vinyl in your car. A lot of people drive car with the CDs, and a CD is a kind of a hipster way of collecting things, especially tape. It's just like this time I didn't make tape, but tape is really popular over here in London for the hipster kids, younger crowd, and they love tapes because probably they were, when they were born there wasn't tape anymore. So right now they like cassette tape. They really like it as well. So these things are collection items. I don't see this as like that's how you consume music. But having like a CD and then it's signed is something you can hold in your hand. It's nice, and it's nostalgic.
Has Twitter Spaces been the best tool for you to get your music out to a larger audience?
Twitter Spaces is fairly new to me. I just came here to learn. I used to call it NFT radio. I just listen to what people talk about, and I often at the beginning got invited on to talk. And then once I started talking, and I just never shut up. So that here I am talking again. So that's how I got here. I can't say this is how I broadcast my music at all. Like this is really, really new. My music, I've been like doing my music for much longer time. Like with the Twitter space, is only the last 2 months or 3, and I would say I can't say I have gained a lot of audience in terms of listening to my music. And maybe 20, 30, 100 people, maybe more people have heard my music. And then but in this NFT community, we're not here just to gain fans. I want people to listen to my music. It's more like you're making friends here, you're networking with people, you're collaborating with people, because we're all artists here. And this is a great way of building a Web3 community. for sure, for sure. But in terms of music, I really haven't really thought about that. Am I here to build my music crowd? I would say, yeah, that's like, something as a bonus, but that wasn't like the intention.
Now, going back to your album, it's half Chinese and half English. Now, when it comes to the writing style of your songs, um, two drastically different languages. So when you're sitting down and you listen to a song straight through, whatever the arrangement might be, to put the words to it, do you decide prior to or after listening to it that this song's going to be sung in Chinese or this song's going to be sung in English? Because there's a certain cadence that you have to use for each different language in order to produce a song. So is this something that you plan out ahead of time, or is it just something that kind of pops up and you're like, all right, this one's going to be in Chinese, or all right, this one's going to be in English?
Historically, when I have a piece of music, I instinctively know which one is better. If it's for Chinese, if this song is better for Chinese or for English. But with this album, it's a very strange one because I didn't really, because the English album came first, and I didn't expect that this would turn into a Chinese album as well. But it just works really perfectly, and it's got its own beauty in Chinese, just as English. And then because like I use most of them having the same music, but then I have to rewrite in Chinese rather than translate. Translate is very different from like rewriting because you have to go into the heart and the heart, as in the core intention and the feeling of the song. What you're trying to express with this song, right? Like I need to feel that and rewrite that in English, in Chinese. Otherwise, the whole translation thing usually doesn't work because it would just be awkward.
So I'm I'm close to 40, and when we used to write songs, my old metal band, it all used to be CD copies, and pretty much you would have to go word of mouth and pass it out to record labels and send your demos out here if you want to play a show. And how much easier has it got in the digital age in order to book concerts that you're going to do in other countries and locally versus kind of just spreading things word of mouth and trying to get your voice out there?
And for me, it's totally digital. Like the whole everything. I'm a computer producer, and everything that I came to know is digital. So I never really understood. I understood. I can see how, say, you are from the States, and if you are in a punk rock band, then you go into a little like truck or something, like a van, and then you tour, and then you sell merch, and then I think that's really cool. Like Amanda Palmer, I think she did that after she quit a major label, and then that's how she got really big. But in the UK, it doesn't really work like that. And the London scene changes really fast, and the people shift really fast as well. So I never really have a local scene. So for me, everything I know is online. I hope, is that, did I answer your question, or is that like a second part of the
No,
question?
I guess that pretty much takes care of it because I'm kind of like an old fart when it comes to getting my songs out. I wasn't really into the whole digital revolution. I guess I kind of stopped towards the MySpace time, really like touring out and playing a lot of shows. But I was just curious how it is now for artists as far as going from.
Now I want to interview you back. Like, what made you to go up until MySpace time, and then now you pop up in the whole NFT thing? That's a big jump. It's like Web 1 to Web 3. You skipped Web 2.
The biggest problem when I was doing it, it was a lot harder to make money. If you didn't have major support from a record label at that time, it was very difficult to make money, and a lot of people, if you don't get a big push to start, you really just have to go get a full-time job. And it sucks because a lot of artists that were really great artists when I was growing up didn't ever get to live their dream because they didn't have platforms like Bandcamp, Spotify, and all these other places where they could get their music out, SoundCloud. So I was born at the wrong time, unfortunately. And then after I really started working and stuff, I kind of didn't practice as much as I would like.
That is really a good point, because I work with how I got to music actually was because of Tricky, and because he really pushed me to. I somehow I met him where I ended up in a nightclub working there because of a credit crunch, the whole economic crisis. So I was just kind of undercover doing, trying to make ends meet, trying to stay in the UK, not getting kicked out. Trying to get my visa and stuff, and working in a nightclub. And I was, at the time, I think I was a cashier, on the front, a front cashier, that kind of thing. And I saw him, and he was my childhood hero. So I said, "Oh, that's you." Da, 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 da. And so we talked. And about 1 year later, he found me on MySpace. Again, MySpace. And then he heard my demos, and then he kind of pushed me to make music seriously, because he made me kind of he was the first person who really, really, really told me that I have something special. Now I needed to do that. The reason I talk about him is because I work with quite a few artists that come from the 90s or even earlier. So I can really see the history of yes, there wasn't so much competition, but these people who we still know, they were lucky. Right, because in Bristol you have Portishead, you have Massive Attack, you have Tricky, you have Sneaker Pimps or whatever. All the other people didn't get to. They went and have a full-time job elsewhere. They just never pop, So whereas I encounter in the decades, 2 decades after their rise, we encounter different kind of problems. There was too much competition. Just give you an idea. When I first making music online, I was getting the royalties was kind of good. I'm talking about I'm getting maybe 1,000, 2,000, in a half a year or something. That's really good, and I'm getting less and less and less. But that is showing you, people were still buying things, and that wasn't really streaming. People are still buying on iTunes and Bandcamp and things like that. But later on, it gets worse and worse and worse. The noise gets bigger and bigger. So the saturation is just getting so much saturated as we went on in the late 2000, I would say 2010 to 2020. It's just a more noise and more noise, because everybody is making music. Everybody is making music. If you're full-time or whatever. So you're kind of we're living in a pay-to-play era. I'm talking about Web 2 right now. Pay-to-play. So you can't actually increase, you can be really good, and another person can be maybe average, and another person can be not so good, but your exposure is almost the same, and it's almost limited to how many Facebook friends you have. Because if you don't pay, you don't get exposure. Even these people follow you, they can't even see your post if you don't pay the Facebook advertising, and it just gets really draining. And if you don't pay, and the people on Spotify can't see you, then we go into the same situation. So back in the days, you were saying, yes, they kind of if you don't get picked up by the major label, you kind of don't get a chance. And right now, I would say most of the artists, we're talking about millions and millions of online artists, are not making a living. They are making music, but they are not making a living. And it's the same situation. You're kind of I need to go viral. But how many people go viral? If you go viral, get picked up by a major, and the major will give you the deal. And if they don't screw you somehow, and if you manage to survive that, then you become a superstar, then really good for you. But what about the other people? the 99.9% of people, right? So it kind of like goes into a same dilemma. It's just a different scenario. And now we're in Web3, and then you have more possibilities to do something, have a smaller amount of collectors, and then you can earn from if you have a great relationship with them, and then you can find people, that 10 people, 5 people, 2 people that appreciate truly of your value. And if you're a good person, like if you have a great relationship, and somehow you can, you can do much better than compared to Web2, I would say.
Now, can you explain to me how it really works as far as releasing an NFT album? Where on your album, there's a funeral in my heart for every man I loved. Do you guys push a single, like, because when we would release albums, there would always be that one song that we tried to get radio play with or something like that. Do you go about the same route when you're making an NFT album? Is there like one particular song that you really try to give a push to as opposed to the rest of the album, or do you treat each song the same way?
I would say like you have interviewed other people, right? Like who are releasing NFT album. I I would say everyone has their different strategy. There's so much creativity, like like Emily, like a Domino, like a Spotty. They're all doing it differently. Some people they are using one single at a time because you have a really different way of doing NFT. Or are you doing like 1,000 pieces, or 5,000, 7,000 pieces, 7,000 albums, or are you doing like Spotty, like a one song at a time? And then when you collect 5 tokens, you can get a vinyl or something like that, right? You are free to do whatever you want. With my album, right now we're talking about so far, that is just a traditional way of releasing album. When I say traditional, it's not that traditional. It's with the crowdfunding, it's more like a pre-release to the people who pledge. So you get the privilege of like having this album. But when it comes to my actual release in the outside world, I'm not saying that I don't have a strategy for the for the NFT campaign. Going forward, I will, because like I'm not just done just yet. I'm not done because it's a big album. I will take a little while to release. So right now I'm doing my Web2 campaign, and later on, like in a few months' time, I'm planning to do a Web3 campaign. And I can't really disclose like the strategy just yet because we haven't really, I'm just building a team, and I can't really, we haven't confirmed the ideas. So it's not a good time to talk about it. But we can, leave the conversation for another time. But for now, I can say with my traditional release strategy, I have a good PR team working with me for a year now. And for my current album, on the English side of the album, I've released 5 singles. I think this is the 6th single, which is the final single that comes out with the album. And the reason to release so many singles, a lot of people, they release like 10 singles, is because of playlisting. Is because of Spotify. Spotify can't pitch an album. They can only pitch like a one song at a time. So some people want to get maximum exposure and a short attention span. So people only listen to one song, and they only listen to like one song, and they want to put your one song into a different playlist and things like that. So for that situation, these days we encounter, and also TikTok and all that, like short attention span, releasing album is almost like a big artist game. Because if you are Beyonce, if you are Drake, then people will listen to your whole album. And then for smaller artists who don't have the fame and establishment, they would be better off releasing singles. But that's like kind of the recent years how this is going. By me releasing 2 out, like a double album, is kind of going against the grain. It's kind of like being it's not doing me a lot of service, because I'm not like maximizing my exposure by doing that. It's more like people almost like to say this is the old school way of doing album, because but I just really wanted to do that, and then I can move on and then do something quite different from this last album. Being a creator, you just want to do different projects. So yeah, I wanted to get that one out, and I don't really care, how many people get to hear it. But eventually, I have a feeling like this double album will be something people refer to, and then like a comeback, and then like a treasure that you discover. I was like, oh my god, So yeah.
Well, personally speaking, I can tell you that you don't see artists releasing double albums anymore. So I think that you
No,
have
no,
kind of
yeah.
like a collector's value to it, where it would really make somebody want to grab it, not just for the music, but for the collector's purpose, and also with the fact that you're including your fans in the mosaic that you're putting on the album, which I think is really super cool. It shows the appreciation towards the people that are appreciating what you do, and I think that's a very big value that you're bringing into this project. And I think it's just really super kick ass.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, just to follow on that, actually, I haven't really mentioned the success of this campaign. It's not done yet, right? We still have 2 weeks to go, but we already like reached the goal 3 days ago. So yeah, 3 days ago, we in that morning. So basically, last week we sold. I sold two top of a million bundles, that the two bundles. And it's worth mentioning, like explaining what's inside the bundle, because each of them is like $10,000. So then adding together, that just like push the whole campaign to 111%. And at the right now we're speaking, I haven't checked the internet. I think it's 100, in total, because I'm doing at two platforms. The reason is that one platform on Indiegogo, people can only pay by credit cards and debit cards, and they don't allow you to use NFT as incentives because it's kind of against their rules. So I have the whole campaign on my website as well. So, and then for people to pay PayPal. And also, if you have like an interest in NFT, you can see what my offer is there. So two websites together, and at the moment we are, I think, 140 something. So that's like so I just want to credit the great like this success to the top bundle. And what is inside the bundle is a lot of value that I provide. And when it comes to like involvement, like this is the epiphany of involvement. So you have everything, like the top bundle has everything behind it, and we only have like one bundle left on this one. And in there, I think the biggest thing people are going for is the stems. It's the stems of all these 24 songs and the commercial license that comes with it. The commercial license that you can use my stems to remix and make money, and then go and then use it to sync or license or doing whatever you want to do. So people say, coming from the, like say, film background or sync licensing background, they'll be like, that is absolutely, that's an absolute steal, because just imagine in sync like an advert, how much do you pay to get to get a song, placed in an advert? Probably you get like a 20 grand or like even like a 50 grand to some like one song, and I'm offering this much to for just like you can use my music, you can use the commercial license to and also I NFT that as well, so it's a 1 out of 3 NFT. So then you can use it and then you can sell it as well, and then you can make more money. And also this package also comes with a 1 out of 1 NFT song. So you don't have to write a song with me. As long as you hold that token, imagine like next year, if I'm like 3 times bigger or 5 times bigger, like as in exposure or, level of whatever achievement or whatever, then my floor price will go up. And then, this token, this token can go so much higher, right? So that it just provides another layer of value for people to, like, you can flip if you want, but then you can appreciate it if you want. It's just that I'm trying to create so many values. So with this one, you're actually getting 4 NFTs from this one bundle. So on the surface, you're like, oh, £7,000, which is $10,000. That's like a lot. But when you really look at what's inside, that's like 10 times of its value. That's why like it's kind of like for people who understand what I'm offering. They'll be like, yeah.
That also shows value not only to collectors but to producers, because then they have the rights to your songs and then they can do remixes like you're saying. So it's really, it funnels into a lot of different fields and avenues where other people could benefit off it. Just not people looking to flip albums, just not people looking to wait till your floor price goes up. You actually show value to people in the music industry that maybe they're not necessarily associated with the type of music you make, but they like a beat and they want to mix it into a hip hop album that they have. So I think it's a brilliant idea, especially including the stems and stuff like that. I've seen a couple other projects do it, and it's worked fantastic. Um, if anybody here has any questions, we're getting towards the top of the hour. Feel free to give a shout out, jump up in the speaker box, and we've already been going an hour. It's going really quick. So if anybody has anything to say, feel free to shout it out if you're in the speaker box. If you're down bottom, raise your hand. I'll bring you up here.
I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Phil Newton because like he's a great supporter in this campaign, and also Will and also Patrick. They all come from Team Fifinity, which is my my fan community. Especially Phil, because like this is really late. Like, don't you need to work tomorrow? It's 1:00. So yeah. So thank you for being here.
Aiden, did you have a question?
Yeah. So I heard you earlier say that you started off in like the EDM dubstep community. I was just wondering what similarities you're finding with the NFT community and that community.
That's a great question. I can't. I can actually tell you like this is really interesting, right? Because like the UK, London underground scene, they all have like their kind of culture. I can't say that I was a part. I was like a rolling with the cool guys with the boys. I wasn't like that. I was actually doing a PhD in a dubstep culture. And I dropped out afterwards because I got bored of dubstep music. But I was really into dubstep music. I was researching, so I was contacting a lot of these producers, and then we became friends as well. Like those people, like some legends at the very very beginning. Like they started to teach me how to produce and all that. That was really good. But in terms of a community, I would have to say is much more exclusive, like as in like the door is not wide open at all. It's quite, I would say it's good if you're inside it. I never felt that I was inside it because I didn't feel like the door was open for me, was available. And from my observation over the years is that like a culture like that can be limiting at the same time, because when it's almost like promotion is not cool, like a certain way of promoting is probably not so cool. And I'm talking about not dubstep community, I'm talking about little different plots of different kind of little genres and things like that. And limiting as in for earlier my music, when for mainstream I was too obscure, too left field, and for the underground label that was really cool, like doing burial kind of type of stuff like hyperdub, I was too mainstream for them. Like I wasn't cool enough because my songwriting is album pop. It's like you have a pop element in there. So somehow I just never felt that I fit in. I never really, until now, I think I create my own community. I don't really care because everybody is weird, musically here. It doesn't really matter. The weirder, the better. But I would say back then I couldn't find where I could fit in. Like people did like my music, but it just nobody knew what to do with my music. Even the managers that were working with me say that Fifi, you are a hard sell. They always say that, and that's kind of like how it is. So if you ask me, did I ever have a community? No, not really. Nobody likes me. Nobody loves me. So it's a kind of culture I can't really explain to you. I can just tell you what it look like or what it looks like on the outside. I probably know one person from a community here and there, and I just felt, oh, that is not a kind of like a welcoming thing like today's crypto or NFT. It's just like, oh, but I'm new here. And if you are new and second day you are a part of the family, maybe 3 days, maybe you need like 2-3 days depending on your character. So the door is wide open over here, and it's a global community. It's very beautiful.
How you doing, Agni?
Awesome.
Agni?
Hi there. Hi. Can I be heard all right? I'm on public transport on my way from London, Fifi.
Yeah.
I'm just coming in and hearing you talk, and Aiden, amazing question that got Fifi to talk about belonging and community. Oh my God, resonate with so much that you shared. And I'm coming in really just to congratulate you. You speak beautifully about your project. Very eloquently. I'm really happy that it's going well for you, and I wish you all the success. Just a quick one from me. Really great to be here and hear you on your journey, and I'm sure you're going to be a massive success. So best wishes for you.
Thank you so much. I hope you come to our female women in music NFT tomorrow.
What time?
Yeah.
You've probably advertised. I would love
7. Yeah, it's 7 p.m. That's my time, UK time.
Right. I'm holding space at 6, but I will come after because you probably run for a long time,
awesome.
right? Brilliant. Thank you.
About 2 hours, I think.
Okay, so hopefully I can just jump in for the last bit. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Before we wrap up, does anyone else have anything that they want to ask Fifi?
I just want to say, you might not have had the community back then, but you got the community now, and with NFTs and crypto, I think everybody who felt out of place back then is going to feel in place here.
Yeah, that's really, thank you so much. Yeah, that's very true, very true. It's like we're the others, but it's not even that like a niche at all. It doesn't feel like underground. It just feels how we organize in this community is by vibe, is by energy frequency. I would say like your emotional frequency, like for people who are appreciative and who are grateful, who are just like you might not even need to be community oriented, but you get like it's infectious. It's like if you are how do I say, like you either get attracted to it or you get excluded if you don't vibe with it. So that's kind of like the energy signature. Whereas there are quite a few London based community, like music community, they have a certain different frequency because I'm quite sensitive to that. And I feel like, okay, that's not my culture. You can really feel like that. I'm not saying dissing anything. It just it just felt like that. I can only say that. And luckily this year, prior to this, I was in the artist community. That's where like it really changed my life, because it just take a few people to change your frequency, like I was in the old way that I felt insecure. I felt like quite standoffish, and I didn't want to share with a lot of things until I met like this community of artists. I was in a part of the course that everybody was really celebrating each other's success, like genuinely, not just like being fake. And then that's starting to change me. And it just takes one person being super generous and super, super happy for your success. It just takes that. And then that becomes infectious and becomes a ripple effect. And I was already in that mentality. And then I take that mentality coming here, and I realize people here are really like that. And we are not afraid to share our success. Everybody celebrate other people's success. And then that's really, really, really important. That's the key culture over here as the core of, I can't say NFT culture, but I know NFT music community culture. It's a very small group here over the last few months. So yeah, I just want to address
I definitely see that the NFT music culture is starting to rise up little bit by little bit each day. And the artist community, as far as like fine arts, digital art, and stuff like that, it's well established right now. But the music community is up and coming, and everybody's super supportive of each other in both communities, both the arts and the music. And you don't see that in many places. And I can't stress enough, like, how great everybody treats each other. And, if you're looking to learn, people are always there to try to help you. If you're just want to talk about something, people are always there to listen. And I think that's special. I think it's a really good turn that these communities are taking. And it's nice to see that people don't shit on each other as much as they do in other fields out there. And
Yeah, it's so true. Like, let's just say like on IG, right? On Instagram, because of the course I was studying, like, you want to be personable. And when you make a follower, you want to like send a voice message. For fans, that's really, really great. But for artists, it's not a culture just yet. So, because it's such like a big world. So if I go to an artist and say, hey, I really love your voice, they get scared. They're like, what do you want? And they're like, thanks. Oh, that's so sweet. That's it. It's like, it's hard to make friends out there. But over here, it's like when say, hey, I like you. I say, yeah, I like you too. Let's be friends, man. That's easy over here. And can I just make a remark? I think this culture actually comes from the intrinsic property of what NFT is, because it's a win-win thing. Because it's so easy to collaborate and it's so easy to create value. Like, we can create value for our collectors and supporters so easily. So getting you to invest in me, it could be the friendship, it could be the value. It's like it really is a win-win, and that comes from the NFT itself. That that's like a spark off the positive energy, because me and you, we're talking here. I like you, you like me. Okay, we can make an NFT. We can both benefit and create value for each other and each other's community. And when you can do that, then that becomes a general culture, right? Whereas because it's it's a positive sum game over here, whereas like in Web2 it's a zero sum game. So it feels like if you win, I'm gonna lose. It's like a scarcity mindset. So of course everyone is keeping it to themselves. So then you don't win. If you win, you take my food, then I don't get to eat. That's kind of like the mentality out there, because sharing, how do I say, because the economic structure is not inducive for everybody to win. So people have to be like ration their resources. It almost feels like that, and then that creates a vicious cycle. So I really see it's the technology in itself that really builds this culture as the
well,
core.
the cool thing is too, like, you're building a team, right? You're not necessarily just building a fan base. You're building a team, especially with what you're doing with the stems. You're building people that could be artists with you without directly working with you. So that's something that's super cool. Like, this is a person that not only likes your music, but now they could use your music, and you're cool with it because you're both mutually benefiting from it. You're not going to get.
Yeah, 100%. For example, like, Dale is a supporter of me, and I'm a supporter of his career and his card. And because I'm an investor now, like, I'm a fan, I'm an investor, and also I'm a promoter. If I can shout about him and his cards like a rise in value, then I earn because I hold his cards, and it's the same thing. And that's what the beauty is. I'm trying to tell my fan base in Web2, like, how it works over here is because, yes, you remix my stuff and then you try to, shout about me. And then when my value goes up, everybody holds my token. Your value goes up as well. Like, you gain more, especially like you say, the producers who remix my stuff. It's like you're going there, like, yes, you are getting a lot of value from me, but I'm getting value from you as well. So we all grow together and build together.
Yeah, it's totally kick-ass what everybody's doing in this space, whether it's art, whether it's music. Pretty soon it's going to be crazy stuff like real estate and government bonds, and who the hell knows what else we're going to have in this NFT space.
They are doing it. Yeah, definitely they are doing it. I heard people already doing like
real
NFT.
estate. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate. Yeah,
It's already a thing.
Sure.
All right, so I got to hit the road pretty soon. So if anybody has a shout out that they want to give or a question that they have for Fifi, feel free to ask. If not, I guess we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. Fifi, you have anything else you'd like to say before we wrap things up?
Yeah, thank you guys for, especially for the UK ones, the Europe ones, staying up late with us. Thank you so much. And yeah, let's connect, let's talk, and hopefully it's been valuable. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And with my campaign, there's 2 weeks left. So yeah, there's still a chance to get the rest. Not too many left for the one-off vinyl. Signed and numbered from 1 to 100. I think there's probably like 20 or something left, and the CD as well. So that's kind of like exclusive window, and after that, like it won't be. I think it will be available at some point, but it won't be like numbered. So yeah, so those things are more valuable as from a collector point of view. So yeah, hopefully you support, and yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me today. I really appreciate you for giving me the chance to talk about my story, because usually, you're not supposed to show so much for for an entire space. Especially I'm being on the service side, being the co-host. I always tell people I'm a professional. I found my second calling as the professional co-host in this space. And I do like about 10 a week. And then now I'm just going to do my daily onboarding show from Wednesday onwards. And oh yeah, I haven't really pinned it here. So from this Wednesday, I'm starting to do 2 p.m. 2 p.m. UK time, which is 9 a.m. Eastern, doing an onboarding show for music NFT beginners. So then we can get like the new people to start talking and starting interacting with us, because that's really important. Not just like the same 5 people talking all the time, and other people are just like stuck there listening. So we want to have people more interactive and more being able to talk about their projects and starting to make friends in the space. And then that's the true kind of like how you get into the community. Don't even think about releasing things or dropping things before you actually become a part of this culture. So I'm there to do that starting from this Wednesday, and I'm doing Monday to Saturday going forward. So that's like a daily thing. So and after that, I'm probably doing like 20 spaces a week. I don't know when I'll burn out. If one day Fifi Rong suddenly disappears, you know why I disappear. I probably just burn out and go into a psychosis or something. But I hope I won't. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And people are starting to getting worried, like, so how are you gonna handle this and still making music and live a life? Well,
I just want to say thank you once again for coming out and talking with us. We went almost an hour and a half today, so that might be a personal record for me. It was very easy though talking to you. It was a lot of fun. Fifi's double album that's coming out is called "There's a Funeral in My Heart for Every Man I Loved." You could check it out on her website, fifirong.com. That's FIFIRONG.com. Check out her crowdfunding. Check out all of her music. Her OpenSea links are on there, so you could check out her NFTs that she has. And just want to thank you again. Really awesome talking to you. I'm going to make sure to stop in your spaces when I see them up. We're friends on here, so I'll be sure to get in contact with you.
Thank you very, very much. Really, really appreciate. And yeah, I'm easy to talk to, because you just need to ask a question and then I'm like automatically just run forever. Yeah, that's that's why it takes so long, I guess. And yeah, all the links are in my profiles. Just one link, a link tree, and everything you need is in that one link. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and have a lovely evening.
You too. Get some rest, and thanks for staying up so late.
You too. Yeah, thanks for coming. It's awesome to talk to you. We connect on a lot of things. I love the community power that you see with NFTs.
Yeah, just follow you as well. Like, thank you so much. I really love this space because like it's all many strange like as in not stranger, like as in I haven't seen you before. So yeah, I'm sure like we're connecting like with new people, because usually in my active times I have a different group of people. So yeah, this is really valuable to me as well. And also thanks for the DJs for the OGs and my supporters. Yeah, thank you. Good night,
Good night,
guys.
Fifi. Thank you so much.